A History of South Africa in Objects on the Island of Ireland. In September of 2021, I was walking in the grounds of Queen's University Belfast Courtyard. It was a beautiful day. I was overwhelmed by its architectural opulence. I was inside an institution that is steeped in history. I was making my own history in the family of things. Something pulled me to the left side. The arch led me to the Botanic Gardens. There, nestled in the park, is this Victorian glasshouse with exotic plants from all over the world, condensed in humid, artificial Mediterranean climate, in contrast to the cool-looking brutalist architecture building, the Ulster Museum on the far end. Grey, dull, and nothing exotic, but a grim-looking beast. The disparity of these three buildings made a fascinating discovery. As an enthusiastic, mature student who came to study her MA in poetry, I found myself in the middle of a storm of thoughts, emotions, and the dilemma of what to do with this privilege and colonial legacy. As I tangled into the graduate building for what seemed an endless storm of research, in between my tutorials and assignments, I was in contradiction with history. I was the missing side of this coin. I asked myself, what history? This is the present, and this is the future. The history is yet to be rewritten. The following year, I was asked to read my poetry to a conference of scholars on Ireland, museums, empire, colonialism. As the only black woman in that crowd of white scholars who seemed to be expert researchers on what happened to me, to us as a black nation, left me in a matrix of anger and action. Why am I vexed? Is it because I expected these objects to be on British soil? The British Museum, to be specific. Has my ear been inclined to geographical obscurity? Or was it because I wanted black scholars to tell of this history? The thread of frontier wars, the Anglo-Boer Wars, slavery, and colonization, and this, the duality of Afro-diaspora, is ever intertwined colonial tapestry that crossed all borders that were created. Of course, these objects are here in Ireland, in private collections, in museums, in auction houses up and down the length of Irish soil. For we cannot erase history. Diversity will let the names and thick curls of the Irish remind us all that Africa was not even Africa, rather kingdoms that were pillaged. The Zulu Kingdom, Benin Kingdom, Swati Kingdom, Xhosa Kingdom, Ndebele Kingdom, Kingdom of Kush, Kingdom of Askum, the Mali Empire, Songhai Empire, the Kingdom of Ouagadougou. I discovered that they were talking about objects that were kept here, on the island of Ireland, objects that had deep spiritual significance to me, to Africa. As the journey from that conference in the Ulster Museum in April 2022 continues into 2023 and beyond, it has left me holding an archive and the beginning of another journey, the journey of where and whom did these objects belong to, their provenance. As we revisit the continent of Africa through the objects, the museums, and most importantly, the descendants and nations in whom these objects belong to, Let's give them their respect. Amaku. Siyabulela kubantu abadala abalele ukuthula. Sishukumisa amathambo enu. Sibuyele embo. Sicela nina nisikhokhele. Siphakamise izihlwele. Siyacamagusha. 1643. Take me to Kritoa. 1760. Wrap me in Nandi's arms. 1789. Dance with me, Sarah. 1841. Nongqawuse, they lied about you. Queen Yese, you appeared with the mist, commanding the men to go except for one. King Nika was then conceived. Amachachabe king of Amaxhosa, father of the great warrior Maqoma. Mama, you gave wisdom to the nation of Amaxhosa. Ndingathetha ntoni na ngawe nothonto, nina kaMaqoma nonongwane amawele. Freedom is fragile. Trust that the tree of wisdom once stood here, the market where the cattle changed hands with brass money. There were wise women who watched the gates. The palace brimmed with harvest. The old men sat under that same tree, listening to the sound of giggling children. Know that this is your culture. The carved wood is your deity, your God. These are not objects to you, children of the diaspora. They are your gods, calling you by your clan names, not to gaze in vanity. Look at their souls and hear their screams, to tell of their journey crossing the Atlantic. As Simone Leigh said, to be sovereign is not to be subject to another's authority, another's desire, or another's gaze, but rather to be the author of one's own history. Siyacamagusha. Siyabulela kubantu abadala abalele ukuthula. Sishukumisa amathambo enu. Sibuyele embo. Sicela nina nisikhokhele. Siphakamisa izihlwele. Siyacamagusha. Consecrate the Mass. The cure for typhoid in 1902. Place a warm stomach of a freshly slaughtered sheep on the chest, then slowly watch the lungs, the rib cage, collapse into a paradox of respiratory prayer. To be black in the concentration camps is to merely witness death till the end. Even at that, no grave, no marking, no place in the history books. This is a swamp of disease, measles-born babies with eyes half-dilated pupils, spring-like hair sprawling out of their half-formed skulls. You, a servant, 20,000 of you, you do not deserve a place in this history. This is not your war. It's a war of Tope people. Boers, New Zealanders, and British fought in your land. The needle from the mosquito's head piercing through the dark skin, does not show on your epidermis, dermis, hypodermis. Death does not shock when it is on you. You are only black. Consecrate the souls, the skulls, all 20,000 of them, the hollow tract of the throat, the unbolted carcasses on brown soil, all lay bare. No one can tell really in the end, from a ship's stomach to an infant. This is an act of barbarism, this war of displacement, of land grabs, of half-empty cannons, of broken pistols, bones, and hovering vultures.